In the realm of caffeine where chaos reigns, ShezPlusCats, we break the chains. Sipping on Java, the energy's high. In this digital world we amplify. From the morning grind to midnight's call, we're gamers, dreamers, giving it all. With every sip we find our flow. In this electric dance we steal the show. Coffee, chaos, games and cats on ShezPlusCats, where it's at. Causing chaos into the night, dancing through the pixels, one aside. In the midst of battles we find our zen. Controllers in hand we ascend. Cats on the sidelines, they rule the scene. In this digital dream we're living the dream. From the first cup to the last, we're alive. In this world of pixels we thrive. With every beat we're on a mission. On ShezPlusCats is pure vision. Coffee, chaos, games and cats on ShezPlusCats, where it's at. Causing chaos into the night, dancing through the pixels, one aside. In this realm of lights and screens, we're more than players, we're a team. Together we rise, together we fight. On ShezPlusCats we spread the light. Coffee, chaos, games and cats on ShezPlusCats, where it's at. Causing chaos into the night, dancing through the pixels, one aside. In this realm of lights and screens, we're more than players, we're a team. Together we rise, together we fight. On ShezPlusCats we spread the light. Coffee, chaos, games and cats on ShezPlusCats, where it's at. Causing chaos into the night, dancing through the pixels, one aside. Coffee, chaos, games and cats on ShezPlusCats, where it's at. Sharing streams we make it right, dancing through the pixels into the night. In the realm of caffeine where chaos reigns, ShezPlusCats, we break the chains. Sipping on Java, the energy's high. In this digital world we amplify. From the morning grind to midnight's call, we're gamers, dreamers, giving it all. With every sip we find our flow. In this electric dance we steal the show. Coffee, chaos, games and cats screens. We're more than players, we're a team. Together we rise, together we fight. On ShezPlusCats we spread the light. Coffee, chaos, games and cats. On ShezPlusCats we're sad. Causing chaos into the night. Dancing through the pixels. What us coffee, chaos, games and cats. On ShezPlusCats we're sad. Sharing streams, we make it right. Dancing through the pixels into the night.
Yeah, new screen in that, or starting soon. I switched over to my favorite Sakura theme stuff because I want the warm weather back. Also, hi, good morning. So we're finally back. It's been a hot minute. I'm still not ready. Nothing's completely set up. I have no idea what's broken, what's not. I mean, I should say what's still broken at this point, because there's probably stuff that's still broken. There we go. Look at that. Look, we even have a cute little decoration in the front. So, hi, Em. Hi, Mrs. Rev. Hi. Hi. Oh, gosh. But yeah, so I know that there's been updates on that. I did not update OBS. I'm like, I know better than to update OBS right before a stream. So we're gonna test a few things out, which is why I have us up as just catting for the moment. I am gonna probably switch over to Supermarket Sim. I want to try out Cult of the Lamb with crowd control, but if I remember correctly, there's a whole bunch of stuff that I have to disable because I think I still have the original Twitch control stuff on it. I mean, although this might be the stream to do it since we're breaking everything anyway. Hi, Rev. Hi. So I want to make sure my Firebot stuff works. So I have a new one. I have a new redeem.
No, Shez! Bad Shez! Bad Shez! Bad Shez! Bad Shez!
Because if you think I'm not going to get use out of that, if you think I'm not going to try and get what use I can out of that, because I just think it's hilarious. And if you don't know the context, I would like to give a shout out to One Cake Lady. Every Monday, a group of EBGG teammates get together and play Lethal Company, and it's just, you've made it if your name becomes a swear word in her channel. So I like to send hoarding bugs. And she might have had a standoff with one. As a tiny little Lethal Company player, carrying a Dino Nuggie, getting in a standoff with the hoarding bug. And yeah, it's amazing. I need to get a copy of that clip and see if she'll let me actually use that as the redeem, because that would probably be amazing. So yeah. Hi. I'm back. Red dot. No. I'm really disliking that. I like most cats. I'm really not liking that one. So yeah, so I think this this past weekend was the first time since everything happened that trying to have like a normal weekend again. Because the past several my Saturdays have involved leaving the house for several hours and everything. And as crazy as it sounds, even though like ultimately it wasn't like I was doing a whole lot of stuff, and you might hear some background noise. Ooh, I do have. Well, I haven't started the session yet for crowd control. We'll get that. I'll get that once we get the game loaded and stuff. But even just driving for, just having to get up and go do stuff and everything and leave the house, come back. It's Saturday is usually my day of the week to just completely diffuse. And I'll have stuff scheduled, but I also know like it might be a short thing. And then I come home and I might still have some energy, or or I don't. I come back and I do nothing. And that's why it's kind of been, and it's just been because it's also like that time of year. It's dark, it's dreary. Hi, Kai. Hi, 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 hi. Yeah, my energy has just been zapped more than normal. So Sundays have rolled around, and I've been just completely and utterly exhausted. So I made it a point, because we had nothing planned, that I was just going to take yesterday, and I ended up with a migraine anyway. The second one in 3 days. Though I was able to stave it off fairly quick with medication, but it just, I needed to chill. I needed to try and get stuff done at my own pace, do things like dishes and just basic stuff. Because, yeah, how did I put it? And I know Mrs. Rev will get it when I say it, because we both joke about constantly living life in hard mode. But it's like this time of year rolls around, and instead of, if a normal day is living life in hard mode, this time of year on a daily basis is being like insane mode when you have 10% of your health left. So, yeah, a lot of shit ain't getting done. And you're just trying to hold it together. Oh, God. To say that I had a couple of nights where, before I finally brought Hobbit home last Saturday, where I was just like, where I recognized, I'm like, holy shit, I am in the throes of depression so bad. And I mean, it's huge, the fact that I could sit there and be like, this is what's happening. So, yeah. Like, January is always hard for me. And then last year, February, you guys probably remember, if you were around then, that I took a lot of I took a lot of that month off too, because the migraines just got so bad. This time of year sucks for everyone. Things have especially not been easy for you lately. Sometimes making it through the day is perfect. Exactly. And it's kind of hard to explain that to people sometimes. There's the lot of y'all that have gotten to know me, know how I am, and get it. And it's other times it's so hard to put into words. It's like you can't really explain it. I'm a big fan of spoon theory for at least trying to explain those things, but sometimes even spoon theory isn't clear enough. Like, how can you designate, just how many spoons are, you know, the concept of giving a task so many spoons, and you start with the day with a finite set, so it's like, ow, you missed that, didn't you, Sparkly? Hi, Sparkly. Sometimes the spoon drawer has been empty for a week. It's perfectly understandable. Aw, thanks, Sparkly. 27 heckin' months. Actually, I never thought of it like that. Thank you. There was like a missing connection with that one. Yeah. It's like when the dishes pile up, and even though you have a dishwasher, if you're like us, you have an RV size one and it does not hold everything. And there's just some stuff you can't put in there. So then you have to hand wash. And hand wash is like taking a spoon, washing it, and throwing it right back in. Throwing it right back in the sink. Because that was you trying to wash that spoon, uses that spoon that you had. So, but yeah, so that's just kind of how it's been. So it's why, like, I keep wishing that I have energy to do this and that and all these other things, and it takes us up so much mental stuff that it's just, so yeah. But yeah, that's why I wanted to make sure, like, this week, because I know there was stuff that he wanted to do, and I just had to say no. I needed my Saturday to just kind of try and do some house stuff. We got some loads of dishes done. I got through a couple things, a couple small declutters and everything. Aw, thank you, Sparkly. And I I got through Genshin Lantern right yesterday. I have learned full stop. I hate Genshin on mobile. So to MJ, I just realized I don't have music playing at all. So let's get a little music playing, just some soft stuff in the background. I want to make sure I don't want to have smart shuffle on, just regular shuffle. Oh, and here comes the Leela. Aw, I missed y'all too. I know, like, I was also kind of quiet in the Discord. I mean, we all know I'm usually quiet in the Discord anyway. And I kind of had to play it ear by ear from week to week on whether or not I had the energy to, come back last week or come back the week before, or, just try it. And it was just like, I would wake up and the energy was just not there. I think I had 2 Sundays. You still have 2 quests to finish, but you can't navigate with one hit. Oh man. Yeah. It's very, like, I think in terms of the tears and tissues, this Lantern Rite was like the biggest one for it. I had a little bit of a spoiler on it from because MJ played it on stream. Like, I happened to pop in right when they were getting to kind of the really heavy stuff in it, and it was just like, I'm sitting there, I'm actually trying to work, because I think it was Tuesday, I had a half day because of month close at work. And I'm sitting there working away and like bawling my eyes out. It was like, so I knew what was coming, but it just hit hard. And that's why, kind of why I stopped doing like storyline stuff on Genshin and eventually just got away from it. Period. But yeah, it was gut wrenching. But that was a couple hours going through the storyline on my iPad, which, like I said, doing some fighting stuff was next to impossible on it for me. And I know it's just because I'm not used to it. But MJ, who I just shouted out, is amazing with mobile play. Like, that's how they stream it. Same thing with like Honkai, Reverse 1999, all that stuff. Because those are technically, they're mobile games as well as computer. And I guess I've just gotten so used to computer at this point that it's like, mobile is like, okay, cool, fine for the storylines, not great for the fighting. And I completely understand why mobile players have such a hard time using Hu Tao to fight. But I had to switch over to computer yesterday and ended up finishing it on that. So yeah, sitting there bawling my eyes out last night. Still feeling like crap because migraine hangovers are a thing. But yeah, I chilled yesterday, and that was wonderful to finally get to do that while doing a few things and whatnot. So that finally gave me the reset that I needed, that I could come back and say hi. Migraine hangovers are the worst. So it was like, I had to fight one at work on Thursday. Like, it started hitting on my drive out to work in the morning. It's not like I didn't have enough time to turn around because I realized that my medicine was not in my work bag, which that's always fun. But I managed to get through the day. One of my coworkers had some not quite Excedrin, because it didn't have the aspirin in it. It just had the acetaminophen and the caffeine, so it kind of helped, but not really. It at least helped me get through the day. And then it was like, come home, take the migraine medication, pass out. Friday was migraine hangover, and it was just like, I was bleh. And of course, our work has been slammed these last couple of days. But yeah, and then woke up at 4 yesterday morning with another one trying to rear its ugly head. We have a nice layer of snow. I know at some point after I'm done with stream for the day and everything, I need to at least get out there and, shovel the sidewalk to at least clear that off. So our driveway, I have been leaving because at this point, it's my car going in and out. His car was completely totaled, so we're gonna be looking for a new car for him soon. Probably a great plug for Subaru, because that's what he was driving when he got hit, and because the person who hit him nailed him right in the driver's side door. I think if it wasn't for the way that it was built, there's a good chance he might not actually have made it. Because I've seen the inside of the car. I've seen how it dented in, and yeah. So him coming out of it the way that he did and right now he's doing great. He uses his crutches. He can walk from one end of the house to the other without them. It's a little wonky for him, but he can move, and yeah, so he's getting there. So, but yeah. So we are the hot mess express in this house. It's all good. He's over at his computer now playing games. I keep thinking we both have Tribes of Midgard, and I keep telling myself, like, hey, maybe I should set something up with him so we can actually do that thing that was meant to happen and play together. But it's all good. Speaking of games, yeah, I think, yeah, it needs time. It just needs some time. So with that, I think we need some chaos. So let me launch game. Waiting. Oh god, no. No. So I'm trying to remember. You've got, wait, I've got to find out now. Okay, there's your, go ahead, get your free coins. I know. You've got me wondering. Let's see. Oh, there was an update for Supermarket Sim. Okay, hold on. Let me stop the session. There we go. Okay. Okay, let's try that again. So you hopefully got, if you got your coins with that first round, hopefully you got some more coins now that I've reset it. I know there, oh wait, yeah, duh, because we've used crowd control. Hey, Jareth. Hi. Hello. Also, I need to fix, okay, that link is no longer valid. And I don't know that I'm going to be doing, I haven't, just because of everything that's been happening, I don't know that I'm going to be doing that this year. So yeah, we have used crowd control for getting over it because I remember y'all yeeting me into oblivion. I totally forgot about that. we could have done that. All right, but let's get over to our game scene here. Hopefully, do we have game? Do I have to reset everything? I don't even know. Okay, there's the game. I was gonna say, because that was the game that we played last time, so it should be fine. So, all right, continue our happy little Taco Bell themed. Oh, you know what? You know what I want to do? Because I went through. There we go. I went through the effort to put these cute little, and I've got to make sure I gotta make sure I put the credit in there. Kissy sent them my way, but we've got to make sure that we put the, I've got to, words are hard. Happy Sunday. I've got to make sure I put the credits in for all the people that we get stuff. Enjoy your lurk. Go get your errands done. Okay. Buy a bait. Oh, don't tell. Oh no, don't tell me it's set up now where people can steal stuff. A baseball bat to beat the... hit the shop. I did not want... All right, who's our shoplifter gonna be? Wait. Is it you? Is it you? Okay, I enjoyed that a little too much. I think it was the scream. I think it was the scream. Oh, God. Oh. You can enable or disable shop. Okay. Okay, admittedly, that was pretty darn funny. Oh, kitty! So who else wants to try that? Hmm? Hi. Oh my gosh. I loved that a little too much. Oh, that was glorious. Yeah, those windows are all clean. It's fine. Oh man. Oh, that was too funny. Oh yeah, because they came in while we were still closed. Because of course they did. Drop. I just want to go on the prowl now. I'm just like, I'm watching. I'm like watching, like, gonna steal something? Aw. Hi, Sab. If 50 months? What? What? Oops. He was not stealing. It looked like he was stuffing it in his pocket. Oopsies. I might have made a boo-boo. I guess if they have a shopping bag, then they're actually fine. Oh, wait. Okay. I don't know how this all works. You know what? Let's do this. Let's go ahead. That was kind of funny, though. That was pretty funny. I rather enjoyed that. Actually, you know what? Management. Hiring. Let's get... So we're supposed to be able to get guards now? So mean to the regulars. Look. We'll get a guard. And... Market. Furniture. So, security antenna. We'll get... I don't even know. I guess 2? Yeah, let's do that. I don't need to order bread. I don't need to order bread because things happen if I try to order bread. Okay, so oh, how do we make that fit? Okay. Okay, so I need to move this over and to probably move that one over, but let's see if I just fit it in. Yeah, no, okay. Where can you know what? Maybe I just need to have one less. Okay, we do that. And we do... Come on, guys. That's not a means of coming in and out. There we go. Okay, we got that. Got our mop. We go scrub, scrub, scrub. Okay, we got that. We still have to pick that. Oh, there's a scrub spot over on this side. Okay. Okay. All right. And let's see. We got that. I don't know what I'm doing. It's fine. It's fine. We're gonna move this one over here. Okay. Now we turn... Hi. We turn our lights on. We grab our security... Where are our cameras? There's our cameras. You know what? Ooh, I like it. I think that will work. Okay. Got our crate. Let's grab our stuff. I do kind of feel bad for hitting that one customer, but, you know, why did that get dropped? Did one of my workers get fired? Did y'all fire one of my workers? No. Okay. You did not. Oh. I've got to get into the groove of how to play this game again because I don't remember. It's been a little while. It's been a hot minute. That should work. Get our sponge. We'll have to put another one probably in that corner. Yeah. Oh, it's 9 p.m. I can't really order at the moment. Did I hit... There we go. I forgot. I paused it since I had the music. If there were new CC things to add. No. What am I looking for? Oh yeah. Security cameras so they don't steal bread. They are welcome to steal the bread? Bread. Since there are options to hire fire cashiers and stalkers, I wasn't sure if they added the same for security. Oh, CC for that. You know, I don't know. I actually did not check. Effects manager. Let's see. Fire cashier, fire restocker, force card only, force cash only. Hire cashier, hire. Looks like no. So I did hire one, hence why you were able to hear that scream in the background. Which I'm not. That's cracking me up. I'm sad I missed that one. I want to see the guard, like, actually. I think we're gonna box this one up. We're gonna box it up, and I think we're gonna sell it. You figure you'd make sure? Yeah. I'm kind of glad that there isn't right now, because while I'm figuring this out, now we just need cleaners. I got no groceries ordered today. Because, yeah, I would like a cleaning crew. Because, I mean, we don't really, because we just have self-checkout, we don't really need the cashiers. You know, we have our customer helper, which I don't think you can fire either. Oh, I see someone hired a restocker. Thanks, Rev. Yeah, I think it's just the cashiers and the restockers that you can hire and fire. So I think that's basically it. You did good. I heard that scream. You did good. All right. So I think we're good. So we got hi tag. Put your favorite dancing emotes in the chat.
Cozy chaos, laughter fills the air. Shares in the kitties, a crazy crew to be shared. Shopping on the couch, chasing their tails, knocking over things like the setting sail. Fluffy antics bringing smiles to our screens. Shares in the kitties, the cutest dynamic team. Shez and the kitties, that's the way to go. Living life on stream, putting on a show. Silliness and laughter in every single line. Shez and the kitties, streaming joy divine.
Oh wait, I'm gonna do pricing first. No, kitty. Kitty. Give me my dot back. Someday, I will get the dot. Oh my goodness. Market price. Okay, we're gonna go to $5.75. And that one went up to 584, so let's do 6 even. Anything else that has like wildly changed? Doesn't look like it. I know I missed whatever like was updated for yesterday. Let's see. So now let's see what we need to order. Yeah, I think we're good there. I think we're good on that. I don't even know if we have like space for a lot of this. As I said, have not logged into this game since the last time we played it, so last stream. So it's just a matter of what we may and may not have space for. If the things I'm saying are even making sense, I don't know. Words are hard. And so are thoughts, apparently. There's also Pokemon in chat. Throw your balls. Oh, I am over. You know what? This is what we're gonna do. We're gonna do the thing where we take out a loan so we can restock and get a bunch of stuff that we need. Aha. Oh, we're at the max. Okay, so max is now 50 items. Got it. Bank. Let's do that. If we can pay it off early, awesome. Okay, so I need to figure out where did it end at the pasta elbows. Okay, so there's that. So there. All right. So we're good on that. Poke Shop if you need to buy more equipment for the Pokemon game. And if you're new to the Pokemon game, Poke Start. And then we can see what your starter Pokemon is. What?
No, Shez! Bad
Ow.
Shez! Bad Shez! Bad Shez! Bad Shez!
Bad Chez. Yeah. That just makes me happy. It really does. It's silliness, and I love it. Okay. So I think we've got everything ordered. There's a lot of stuff. Oh, look, the boxes fell over. And you know what? My security camera is somewhere in this. Okay. Hi, guys. Hi. Run. Run. We're gonna go ahead. We're gonna open while they're all doing that. I'm just gonna start tossing stuff in the back here. Well, you found a new button, so you pushed it. Well, that's what you're supposed to do in here. You find new redeems and you push the buttons. Like, what does this button do? Okay, somewhere in here. Nope. I will find my other security camera. Because I want it over there. No. Because here I am assuming that it's at the bottom of the stack. Because that would make sense, right? Right? Something like that? You know what? How do I have my restocker set? Management. They can use unlabeled racks. We don't want them to remove labels though, because that just gets insane. Couldn't find this. Yeah. I know I've got to like figure out. Oh, let's do our. I know that there's stuff that doesn't have a spot on the shelves, and we need to get that figured out. There we go. I just want to make sure I did this to 100%. Yes. Okay. So we're good there. I just want to kind of kick back and watch and see him in action. I want a shoplifter to come in because I want to see him hit the guy with the baseball bat. Frickin' floor already dirty. Okay. I think we're good. Apparently I'm already... I've got the baseball bat already. Can I just, like, thwack some random person on the street? Sorry. Sitting in silence, missing all the violence. Oh, gosh. Where is my security camera? Where is it? It's like, it's somewhere in these boxes. Ow. Dino Nuggies. I'm never gonna be able to do that again. Just saying. Oh, there it is. I found the box. Eh. Is that gonna actually work? I think so. I think it'll work. I hope. Get our lights turned on. Should probably order more shelves. I know we got rid of a lot of them this last time, but I think we need some more. Just one or two, maybe. Let's get two. There we go. Put that one there. And I think the other we might just stash for the moment. I mean, I suppose I could turn them... could turn them like this, which I think is how I had it before. There we go. I think that'll work. They can use the, Okay, I've got a mop. Oh my gosh, she even picks the stuff up and puts it back. I love it. I love it. Good job. That was amazing. Oh gosh. Oh, that just... Okay, that has just made my experience with this game so much better. I know it's not as great as like doing it yourself, but just watching him go after and whack the guy and then just put the stuff away all calm and yeah. Yeah. I like our muscle friend. Oh my goodness. Okay, I actually need some more. I need another light over here. What? Let's grab. Yeah, I see how screwed up my lighting is right now. Okay, let's grab one of these guys. Let's move right there. There we go. That lights it up a bit better. So I think that works. We're gonna close. We'll let these guys all finish up. What I think, because we're about to have ads start, so I think we're just gonna... Let's see. Do we want boom bears? Yeah, let's do boom bears. Let's do boom bears for our be right back. We'll get that going for y'all here in a sec. I just want to make sure. Yeah, we've got one more customer. What, Leela? Oh, she found the little cardboard box. Come on, friend. Come on. You can do it. Come on. Get your stuff. Leela? She's been silly and like doing these crazy meows for all the attention, everything. I think... Okay, what I think we're gonna do, I'm gonna let them keep going while we take our break. So that way the guys can restock. We're gonna stand over here in the corner with our friend. I know that they're gonna pause while I tab out, but that's okay. We're gonna put up our be right back. Let's get some boom bears up. We'll do that. Let's go to our be right back. There we go. Okay, so let me do that. Let me get boom bears up. There we go. I have no idea how it's going to look on this screen. Oh, I gotta authorize it. My bad there. Okay. Cool. All right. Boom bears. Battle Royale. So we've got it under the emotional support gong. Exclamation point join in the chat. And we'll just let it go. And we'll be back shortly. Unless it doesn't want to work. Because it's tied into the wrong account. messed up. I messed up. Fail. Fail. I authorized the wrong thing. It's fine. It's fine. Maybe. Let me do this. Let me do this. Let me get it off the screen for a moment. Okay. Connecting to Twitch. Settings. Oh my gosh. I completely screwed it up. But authorizing the wrong account, it's totally fine. When you authorize your bot instead of okay. Let's try something else. Let's do this instead. You know what's going to happen is it's going to run the ad. And it's not going to matter anyway. So let's just go ahead. We'll run with it. We're just going to run with it, and we'll be right back. Okay. All right. We're back. We're good. We're good. Right? We're good. Maybe. Maybe. Come on, game. There we go. There's a... So one of the things I did originally do shortly after everything happened was I started going through clothes and stuff, just trying to launder everything that I possibly could. And so his work jeans made it into laundry. They got folded. They've been sitting on the corner of the bed for probably about 2 weeks now. It's fine. Because Leela likes to think that they're a toy. The Bobs are so afraid that she has chosen them. They still have not picked up this box of potatoes. Potatoes. So there's like a frayed piece that is that's sticking up. And yeah. I feel like one more camera, so then that way we have it all in all the corners. Let's get another thing of the kegs. Let's start at the top again. So we need more flour, more cheese. We have 2 different types of flour. I didn't even realize that. Yeah, we're getting a bunch of the candy because the candy is apparently very popular. Hi, Papa. No, we don't need more bread. We still have like 1,000 loaves. We're just getting a whole bunch of stuff because we can right now. I'm enjoying being a little bit subdued today. You know, just trying to get back into the swing of things. How are you healing? And thank you for like keeping us posted on that, Papa. Like, I'm glad that it like all went well and everything. Oh, you know what? I already put kegs in there. Okay, I think that's good. I think that's good. I think that should get us restocked for the most part. But yeah, trying to get a little bit of normalcy right now, or at least back onto like a normal schedule, is what I should say. All right, I think. Nope, that's flour. Of course, that's flour. It's a square box, so why would that be the security camera that comes in a square box? Or is it? That's also not it. Time to play the where's the security camera game. That's flour. That's probably not it. It's got to be like one of these bottom boxes. Maybe. Nope, there it is right there. Cool. Yay! Easy to see spot. Okay. Okay, so yeah, because we're not gonna be able, we of course can't put it on the glass, but all right. Boop. Boop. Yeah, that should work. Okay, so we have cameras in all 4 corners now. It's one of those. Oh, perfect. So yeah, so that should get that. We do have this little corner area that that I don't think they can see. So maybe, yeah, that's the only thing, is that we're not gonna be able to get that corner unless we have it where that speaker is. So if we move the speaker, we've got a speaker there. Let's put that one there. So if I do like this, that should work. Oh, there's some garbage that got missed. Still in bed for the most part. Leg propped up, walking with a walker, but the healing is coming along on mobile watch. That is all good. Oh, so you get the big delay. Oof. Oof. Okay. So there were some updates to Supermarket Sim. They added in the shoplifters. So now we have our little security thing for when they're coming in and leaving. We have our cameras and we have our muscle. I think we're gonna call him Bruce. It's really funny when he hits the shoplifters with the bat, although we got to hit them earlier. I was like a little stressed at first about the idea of having the shoplifters because I'm like, oh, one more thing, but we could hire guards, so that made that easier. And just the fact that we can hit them with a baseball bat, I love it. I love it. Okay, so we got those there. Stream is still in just chatting. Thank you, Jackie. I mean, I would have been fine with that. We are kind of just catting, but you know, probably helps. Wasn't sure if it was intentional. I mean, we could pretend. It wasn't, but you know. Sushi? Sushi. I think those shelves are full. Okay, let's see. Let's see if we get to catch shoplifter. We're just gonna stand here and chill. Wow, standing at this kind of gives you an idea of just how much space I actually have that I need to do stuff with. So I could start kind of plotting that. So what if we've got our bread shelf. We've got these here. But yeah, thanks, Jackie. I'm still... Ignore the fact that some of the resubs have said 50 months, 51 months. No, I'm brand new to streaming. Hi. No. I can't even call this the first stream of the year because we actually did one before everything happened, and I ultimately took a month off and everything's broken and it's fine. I did do the smart thing and not update OBS right before stream. Everything else got updated and got reconnected and everything, but you know, I broke everything else. Come on, give us a shoplifter. You slept in today and just got here. We still have... Nope, nope. You are good. I've just been like... Yeah. What's a stream here without hiccups? There will always be hiccups. I worry if nothing goes wrong. Will we get a shoplifter? I did hit one person. What's any stream without hiccups, right? I did hit one person who I thought was shoplifting, but actually wasn't. So we know what happens when you do it on accident, when you hit the wrong person. We get an "ow, where'd you hit me?" And then they kind of walk out in the daze, and it's pretty funny. It's great. Go on. Shoplift from here. I dare you. We'll sick Bruce on ya. Wahaha. Oh, people making messes on the floor. Jeez. Oh yeah, there's a Pokemon in chat. Anyone? 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 Oh. Oh! The fact that he did it right in front of us was even better. Even though we didn't really get to see, like... Yeah. Yeah! You get to hit it with a baseball bat. It's great. But my gosh, like I said, to do that right in front of us, like, wow. Dude had some balls. But yeah, basically, if they have a shopping bag in their hand, they're fine. But we have a camera there, we have a camera in that corner, and in that corner. Go on. I want to see another one come in. She's looking. Welcome to my store. Come for your groceries. Stay for the shoplifter beatdowns. Oh gosh. I find way too much joy in this. Okay. Okay, I'm gonna put the bat away. We're gonna do some cleanup because people are messy and gross and... Oh gosh. We're at store. Ooh, we're at store level 40? Nice. Okay. That window's already clean. That's already clean. That's already clean. Yeah. Oh, hi, Kissy. Tiger Card Simulator needs this feature. I know you meant TCG, but I kind of like it. I kind of...
Hear ye, one and all. Here follows a public announcement. The amazing Kissy Kitten, who is totally a streamer regardless of what she says, has graced us with her glowing presence. All praise the amazing Kissy Kitten.
Oh, hi, sis. Coming in with the 51-month sub button. Thank you. You're missing baseball bat shenanigans. It's especially fun, like, when both you and the guard catch the shoplifter in the act, and you're both beating them with the baseball bat. It's great. I love it. It's heckin' amazing. probably could have turned that light on for you guys. Okay. Oh, so they've used one spot, one shelf spot. Okay. We do still have some empty shelves and whatnot. Okay. And that kind of gives me an idea of what we need to order. I know that we still have stuff that needs to go out on shelves. I need to get that figured out and sorted. Oh yeah, we have... we even have a spot for this? It's like, let's grab a random item and see if we have a spot for it. Oh yeah, that's got 2 whole shelves. And then we just toss it and let them put it away. Let's see, bread, 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 cat food, which I actually, excuse me, I actually don't think we have a spot for the cat food. Let's go find a spot. Let's go find a spot. How about this end cap? There we go. And now they'll know to restock the cat food on those 4 shelves. Oh. What else don't we have spots for? Let's see. Our toilet paper shelf is full. But we have a lot of stuff that we're actually out of. Okay. But yeah, I hope these are still not selling. I think, you know what? I bet there's some licensing that I don't have, and that's why some stuff isn't selling. Licenses. So we got, okay, so now we've got that license, which of course brings down our funds to like, oh, minimal for stuff, but that's okay. That's okay. Let's do that. Add that. Add that. Add the mashed potatoes. I'm not adding that. Add that. Ooh, we get pepper grinders now. And more buttered sugar. Okay. Closed, that's right. Closed after 9 p.m. So we have to end the day. And then we can do the thing. There we go. Okay. So let's get our stuff ordered. I know they're gonna come and put it back on the shelf. You're gonna take a nap and hope good. Okay. Feel better, Papa. Oh, let's see. What do we want to get rid of? Let's get rid of that. We still need to get rid of... Let's just do 1. There we go. Okay. I should probably stop the guys from doing stuff for the moment until I can get... Let's pause them for the moment. Turn off working while I do... Okay, thanks guys. While I figure this out. Where did they already put... Why is this all the way down here? What? Why was that all the way down there? Thanks, Papa. Have a good nap. And hopefully the meds kick in quick. Well, they already have. I bet. Okay. Do they say... They do say Chippos. They're Chippos chips. I didn't know Chippos had our own line of chips. Hehe. Okay. So... market price $6.27, so $6.50. Got it. There we go. Woohoo! We got that. We've got this flower. I have to figure this out. Oh, I know what we're gonna do. Okay. So let's do our crate. Let's get those 2 shelves. Okay, display is full. That is fine. Let's see. Remove that, remove that. Our coffee is all there. We've got our honey there. Our oils are there, which is kind of a weird spot, but that's okay. We're gonna move our... Because I think... Yeah, I think if we move that over... Nope. Oh, there's not going to be an easy way to do this. It's always going to go from the right side, isn't it? Yeah, it is. Unless, does someone know a way when you have to, like, choose? No. Okay. I want, because I want to move this stuff over here and then put, oh, I keep doing that. Because I think I want to put this new flower there, move that stuff over. I could also move the pasta, I suppose. Actually, let's do that. Although I've got, well, no, because I've got 2 new rice things. There's not enough space. Okay. So if we do that, the conundrum, let's get that there. Okay. So that. Let's get, where's the rice? That's the new rice, so let's get that out. And unfortunately, it's not going to be the right size box, which is okay, I guess. We'll figure this out. We'll get this figured out. It'll be fine, right? Be totally fine. Totally fine. Oh, we got our mashed potato stuff. Put it right next to the vodka because, okay. So, how to do this? Oh, we gotta set the price on that. $4.87, so $5. I need, there's gotta be a box of it back here. Where? I don't know how they had this organized. Do they even have it organized, or were they just throwing stuff on shelves? I think they were just throwing stuff on shelves because, of course, they were throwing stuff on shelves. Oh, yeah, that's all toilet paper. Cereal. That is pasta. Is that it? Is that? Yes. I think that's it. Giga! Hi, Giga, coming in with a 25-month... Oh, I had brown sugar that never got put... Oh, son of a biscuit. All right. So we got that going on. Okay. I gotta rethink this. Hi, Giga. How's it going? Welcome back to the chaos. I don't know what I'm doing. It's fine. It's totally fine. Maybe, and hear me out. I have an idea. I have an idea. I go here, market, furniture. Crap. I have $48. That's not gonna work. You got a 3-day. Oh, nice. Oh, yeah. It's a holiday tomorrow, isn't it? Son of a biscuit. Oh, I get that holiday? No, we don't. We don't get that holiday. We're not special. Okay, so those are gonna go. It's fine. It's totally fine. So this is what we're gonna do. That one's gonna go there. Right. There we go. Because what'll happen is I'm going to put a shelf there and then that will extend that. But we need to actually open and do stuff first. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and let the guys do their thing then. Management. Go ahead and we're working. There we go. Okay. Unfortunately, I need to fire one of the guys. I need them because I need the money. I need the money. I appreciate you hiring a third one for me, but yeah, we've gotta. I need to make some money. I need to make some money in here. We took out a big loan and it was promptly gone with the upgrades. Oh gosh. What? Thank you. Reminds me. What is our pricing? That went up. So, $450. Why is this? Oh. Okay, we actually don't have that on hand yet. That's why it hasn't been set out. So wait, if we set the prices ahead of time before we even put them out, then does that mean when we do get them put out that they will automatically update? Thanks, this is Rev. Because now we've set our margins and everything. Okay. So we got that. Nate! Nate also coming in with the sub. 16 months. Thank you for using your Prime. I'm a little more subdued today. Don't mind me. Also, ignore that hype train incoming. We don't need it. Oh my god! We actually got to see it! Okay, darn y'all for starting a hype train, but oh my god, we got to see the little train! That was awesome!
Ouch!
And we just missed a shoplifter getting thwacked alongside the head. Bruce did his job. Oh. The little bits dropping behind it, right? That was so cute. Oh my gosh. So now that you've all started a hype train, jeez. Nah, I appreciate you all. It's like, now that he's home and everything, like anything that comes from the stream at this point. So last year, you know, I was doing Extra Life and everything. This year, unfortunately, I don't think I'm going to quite be able to keep on top of that. This is basically you're kind of helping me get caught up on bills and stuff a little bit. I've got to curb some spending and stuff. I did a little stress shopping last month because of everything going on. That said, it came in the form of Lego sets. So we do have some Lego sets to build on stream. I got some Lunar New Year ones. And so even though we're kind of past that, I still think it's going to be fun. I don't have the setup for it right now. I'm trying to get some cleaning done. I found I can try and do stuff. I can do stuff like in little spurts and everything, but yeah. Like probably once. What did I come over here for? Oh, shelf. I need to order a shelf. I need to do that before the store closes for the day because I want to get that spot for our stuff. Okay. So we got that. So yeah. I need that to go. There we go. Okay, so now we'll have the spot for I smell a potential shoplifter somewhere. Maybe. We had one today. We're about due for another one. Come on. Oh, fine. Let me go mop. We can hope. Come on, someone. No, we just have messy people. Yep, we just have messy people right now. Darn it. Because I know y'all want to see Bruce in action, but apparently... Oh, there we go. 100 more bits for reasons. What? Oh, there we go. Choo Choo is gone. Thank you, everyone, for the hype train. Right? But then he goes and he picks the items up off the floor and he puts them away. Like, it's great. It's absolutely great. Okay, so I need... While they're finishing, I need to figure out where they put... That's the toilet paper shelf. I think I put the one box over here. There's our pepper. Here we go. Here's our new flour. So we can put that over on this shelf. Yeah, we'll just... Let's do this. I think I should have slid... There we go. There's that. Okay. Oh, it does work if you price it ahead of time. Awesome. Okay, so we're going to remove those. That box is full. Remove that tag. And that goes there. Okay. Haha. I win. Okay. So there's that. That's all taken care of. I love it. I love it. I realize, I think I have my purchase filter. Did I, for my products? Did I have the filters on? No, I didn't. I am just running out of cleaning products that quickly, apparently. Yeah. Okay. But yes, thank you for the bits and the resubs today. I appreciate you all. And that hype train was absolutely adorable, coming through the shop like that. That was great. Even though I was holding a bag of garbage at the time, that was still really cute to see. Okay, we'll let them finish that. I hear someone hobbling up the stairs. There we go. I think that's good. Look at that. That is a good start to the day. All right. Let's do our price resets. Let's get our stuff ordered. Price sets first. Because we've got one higher, one lower. That might actually be okay. But we'll do it to market rate. 250. That should be good. Yeah, I think that's fine. So we've got stuff out. All right, so 2 of those. We go through a lot of wow, we're actually out of that one cereal. Jeez. Dishwasher tabs. We've only got 1 box of those. We need more of those. More of those. More of that. We're just going through everything. Wow. Cereal. Bottled water. Brown sugar. I know that there's stuff that still needs to get displayed. We have like no ice cream. Trying to keep an eye on what we have. All right, we'll put some of that sandwich bread out. And get 2 of those. We have nothing out on the display shelf, but okay. Where is... Got our little pepper thing here. Let's go put that out. Let's see. I would probably actually put that over there, but I think we're gonna put it up here. Actually, you know what? Let's do let's change that. Get rid of that. Get rid of that. Where's our crate? We have our pasta. Where's our pasta? Where's our 1 pasta? Do I Do I actually not have any pasta out right now? Oh my gosh, okay. Nope. Okay. Thank you. Crap, he's gonna put salt up there. I need to get that. Okay. Whew, okay. Actually, that wasn't going to be a bad idea, ultimately. I think I'm gonna do that there. Actually, I don't know what was I going to do? I don't even remember now. The pasta. Shoot. Nope. La 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 la. Okay. That. Can I fit all the containers of salt in here? Please let this work. Please let this work. Also, there's a Pokemon in chat. Yes, this worked. Okay, perfect. 1 shelf of salt, 1 shelf of pepper. Okay. All right, we've got that. We've got that solved. Kind of, sort of. We need to get that pasta on that shelf, but that's okay. Let's get that going. Okay. You know what? I want you guys running. Run, 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 run. Run! Run! Run, my minions, run! That's right. I've only got the 2 now. I guess maybe I should have kept the 3rd one, but I needed... I needed to make some money. Having Bruce on hand to help is expensive. Even though it's great to have around. We've had like no customers. How is there already garbage on the floor? Guys, are you getting into the stuff again even though you're not supposed to? He stands there just so ominous. And people just walk right behind him and he does not flinch. No flinching. Nothing phases him. My God. So much crap on the floor. People are so messy. All right. Where are the windows looking? Think we're okay. No, should I get rid? I feel like I should get rid of the bread display and put more shelves in. I kind of just like this on the floor. Come on, guys. Okay. It's kind of like if I put one of the curved shelves here and run them like that, I could do... I don't know. I would end up having to put a camera there. I feel like Pooh Bear. Think, 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 think. Up. It just appears out of nowhere. I want to see him go into action. Go running with his bat. Couldn't find powdered sugar. Come on. Come on. Okay, we get it. You guys can't find the okay, so that powdered sugar is probably something that just doesn't have a shelf spot yet. Yeah, okay. That's exactly it. So I need to find the I need to find the box. There it is. There's the box. At least that was easy to find. Okay. So we've got sugar there. There we go. 2 shelves for everything, with some exceptions. Let's see. Where can we put... You know what? There we go. I mean, still buy the other bread. So that makes it the perfect spot for it. Right? Right. There we go. I mean, I could make an actual spot on the shelf for it, I suppose. But where's the fun in that? Oh. And apparently I need more checkouts. Oh, 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 oh. Oh, oh, oh. Good job, Bruce. Good job. Yes, we're calling him Bruce because he kind of looks like Bruce Willis. Okay, so got that. I mean, bread and toilet paper right next to each other makes perfect sense, right? Right. Oh my goodness. So if I... Oh god, the windows look awful. There we go. Okay, much better. So... yeah, I could run... like, for instance, if we take this fridge, put it there... I mean, I should probably grab this one, but we can just move that one right there. And then... oh, I should probably... I need to... I want to do what I'm thinking before we close. Oh, just one. Pink, add, I... there we go. Okay. So we got that. Turn that light on. There's our big pink, well, lavender shelf. So then that would go... oh, I need to move the bread. I need to move the bread display. So that comes... come on, guys. Come on, thank you. And then that would go right in there like that. Yeah? Is that too wide? I mean, granted, we're looking out onto that area, so maybe not. Okay, I definitely need to put another self-checkout back in. We definitely don't have enough. So getting rid of the one was not a good idea. Got it. I mean, the good news is we're getting a lot more business. She is on a mission. Okay, so another self-checkout. Actually, once they all leave, I'm gonna shift that one. So if I can fit 3 across there, then I might be able to do 3 across this way and kind of create like a little thing there. Although that may add to traffic congestion. Can I? Okay, so that won't work. Got it. That's why we had that one in the corner the way that we did. Okay. That makes sense. Because obviously we want that there. I don't know. Things to think about. Especially since we're about to go on our next break. Oh, can't do... Okay, so I gotta figure out the thing with boom bears. So... Really, I think... Yeah, I think I'm gonna let the guys do their thing with the shelves and that. So I accidentally logged in on Boom Bears under the bot's account, and for whatever reason, I cannot get logged out at the moment. So that is the issue I'm running into. Yeah. I can't get it to log out. So, cause yeah, obviously if it's logged in under the bot account, you'd have to be in that channel. And that doesn't quite work. And oddly enough, I can't see a spot where it says to actually like log out of the account or like switch. You would think it would be like on the settings or something, and it's not. Let me see. So yeah, I can't get it logged out. I'm just checking here to see if there's something that I missed. Because you would think there would be an easy way to disconnect it. But there isn't. I guess unless I like uninstall and reinstall it. So yeah, it's silliness. It is absolute silliness. So all right. We're gonna go ahead. We'll end that. By the way, the lurk bait fishing is enabled if you guys want to fish. So in the meantime, you know, I'm probably gonna regret this, but let's see if we can get the clips running. Let's see if we can do it. So stand up, stretch, grab a snack. We're gonna go for a little bit longer after we come back. But let's see if I can get the clips ready.
How are you planning to get back up there? We climb. I'm a
All right.
kitty cat. Yes, I'm a kitty cat.
It seems to be
I'm
okay.
silly Billy
So
Chaos ringing kitty
I'll be right
cat.
back.
I will climb the walls. I will climb up all the walls. And I don't know how I'm gonna finish the song, but that's okay. Meow, meow, meow. Hey!
What the fuck just happened?
Dude, you
Oh
didn't
my
wash
God.
your hands. Oh yeah, you can flush the
What
toilets.
is it?
You can flush the toilets.
Why did the toilet? Oh my God!
You can flush the toilets. He is messing with you.
I'm gonna die. The toilet just flushed. That ghost is getting ready for a fight.
It's not the ghost. Hey, Seely, please show me the way. Please show me the way to find Primos. I need Nahida to come home, please. Oh, hey, a scarab. I don't even know anymore, guys. Zara hates me. Dino Nuggy. I love Dino Nuggies, even when they're getting thrown at me. I totally wish I had some dipping sauce to enjoy with my Dino Nuggies. Any dreams we want? Ready? Ready? F is for fire, the birds down the whole town. U. Uh-oh, wrong button. U is for uranium bombs. N is for no survivors. Because we're gonna take them all down. Freezing.
No, well, maybe, but I can see.
Yeah, now I see them on the floor.
So
Okay.
orbs and freezing. It's Rev, Yuri, Hunter.
I.
Oh, yeah, I'm gonna turn it.
Can I help you? Oh god. Yep, there's Kissy yelling at me. I am silly and bring entertainment to everyone with my chaotic gameplay. Because even though sometimes I have a hard time with my gameplay and I inevitably need practice, it still brings several hours of entertainment and joy to everyone, especially when I do silly things like boop the snoot. So here you go. Have a free boop of snoots. Boop.
Come here, Tom. Come here, buddy. Come here. Get over there.
First, I had to play the clip where I'm being nice to myself.
All right.
Didn't need to play that clip.
Bye, Dom. Whoops.
Remember when we used to be an AC&H stream? Remember when AC&H was a... Boo Bear! 45 heckin' months, 5 Twitch bait. Jesus. Thank you for coming in with a 45 heckin' month free sub, Boo Bear. Hi. Things are broken. It's fine. Bruce is is keeping an eye on our store and making sure that no one comes in and steals stuff. Meowdy. You know, someday I'm gonna actually finish this floor and probably put it back to a wood because the foam is kind of weird. playmat, whatever you want to call it. We actually have been making some decent money. I am pleased by this. What do we have in terms of price changes? Ooh, that really jumped up. So we're gonna go $7 for that. You return. Welcome back. Don't apologize for running errands. Errands need to be done. The things need to be done. Never apologize for needing to do adulting. Adulting sucks, we all hate it, but we all have to do it. Wahaha. We'd much rather not, but you know. It is what it is. Alright, that's... oh, we are out. Wait, we're just gonna order two. Two of that. Yes, we now carry 2 different types of bread. I hope y'all are happy. I think there's still stuff that's like hasn't made it out to the shelf yet, and I need to like figure out. I have to keep ordering so many of those chickens. The Duck Council has spoken and said 2 types of bread is acceptable for now. No, we don't need more bread. Well, I mean, we needed more of the one kind, but not the kind that you guys like to send me. We still have plenty of that. Oh, yeah. We're still good there. I think we're still over 1,000 loaves. I'm surprised that stuff doesn't go stale. I am like running out of everything. I'm impressed. Nope, don't need that. See, 1,176 loaves. See, we're fine. We still have 283 boxes of chocolate cereal. Like, seriously, how are we like not running out of it? Like, all right. Oh, I guess we can hire our restocker back. Yep. Okay, cool. They don't. Yes, that's the one thing is toggled off that we don't want on. Okay. Let's open. Boosted. Run. Let's go. Come on, guys. We got a lot of stuff to restock. Guess you're sending me money and books. You know, I still haven't sold any books. That's gotta be a license that we don't have yet, isn't it? I don't even know. Do we have a shelf spot for it? I have no idea. Let's see. Licenses. Product license. Bleach, cleaner, dishwasher tablet. That's the next one. We have a ham and cheese galette. We have some prosciutto, chicken legs. Where is the license for the books? Do we have? Oh, there it is. Not until level 70. Oh, and we don't get the cat food license until level 70 as well. That's why the cat food and the books haven't been selling. Got it. So they just sit here on their shelves looking cute. Freaking trash everywhere. It's fine. Okay, we had the mop. Where's our spot that needs to be mopped? There it is. Is there another spot? Nope, but there's more garbage. I literally just threw out a bag. Oh, no. Don't want the bat. We don't want to accidentally thwack someone. Although that could be really funny. I mean, oh my gosh. Yeah, they're decoration for now. Okay, so... See, there's our little shelf of bread. Our shelf of little loaves. If we could do the display, extend that there, extend this out. Oh, that's right. We wanted to get one more security camera to cover that particular area. No, furniture. Furniture, scroll down. One more camera. We need 2 more self-checkouts, I think. We'll do the mirror. Oh, that's not gonna work. Okay. Can we do 1? We can do 1. Okay. But yeah, what's everyone's plans for today? Oh my god. Why are y'all throwing... I feel like there's people still shoplifting because we're finding sandwiches on the... Oh, there he goes. Oh, he was trying to steal toilet paper. Sir, that is a hot commodity around here. You do not go stealing our toilet paper. Although, actually, I'm going to come over here. There we go. We're gonna put a roll there. And 1 there. There we go. That gets rid of that. Boom. All right. So, let's get another self-checkout in. Let's see, how do we want to do this? Like, can we fit that right in there? We can fit that right in there. There we go. Okay, so there's that. We're probably gonna end up doing some shifting of stuff again, but you know, we got a couple mirrored ones in there and boop. Boop. You know what? Because if I'm gonna, the way that stuff's gonna get, I'm gonna have to move it. Also, why is that on the why is it like that on the wall? Okay, there we go. Now it's... There we go. Okay. That's gonna be... That should... that may still not work. We'll toy with it. We'll figure it out. Oh, there goes Bruce. Serves you right. Oh god, I find way too much joy in that. Oh, that is way too funny to me. It's the screaming as he gets hit. It's just, it's so funny. It's so great. And yes, Sab, Kissy is around. This is Supermarket Sim 2020. Yes. Yes. Yes, it is. Did I not? Did I take away the spot for the spaghetti? I did take away the spot for the spaghetti, apparently. Okay, so the spaghetti is gonna go there. Gotta pick up the garbage. The guys will get the boxes. Yeah, that'll work. How does some of the items going rotten, like, kind of oh my gosh. And you think you've gotten everything. No, another one. Just... was gonna say, Kissy's been in here for a while. Where have y'all? Y'all have been like losing focus. It's fine. Okay, that is the peanut butter right there. Okay. Close. And yeet. Hee hee. Come on. I'll clean my windows in the meantime. Come on, all you last minute shoppers. Okay. So we can close that. Couldn't find the dishwasher. Look. Give me a break, y'all. Cut me some slack. We cannot keep this stuff in stock. Okay. So. Supermarket window washer simulator? Oh, your fellow walking. So Papa went to take a nap. He was here earlier. But yes, he has come and gone already. And the Hobbit is downstairs. So let's see that. He's doing a lot better. He can maneuver pretty well. He can maneuver really well on his crutches and everything. He is working on trying to walk unassisted. He can get from one side of the house to the other, like not including stairs. He just walks a little wonky right now. If he tries it, but you know, he's doing all right. So he will be off, I think it's through March. I think that's basically like where we're at right now. So, I know the auto show is in town starting a little under 2 weeks from today, and it goes for like 3 weeks or something. So he's talking about wanting to try and go to that to look at cars. I know Subaru, they're releasing a Forester hybrid. They officially showed it at the Chicago Auto Show. Oh, that really dropped in price. But that's what he was leaning towards, because with me downgrading my SUV, or from a small SUV to what I have now, that took away a lot of... Oh wow, I'm like actually out of eggs for once. And out of... How am I out of milk? Or almost out of milk? I fully know what I have done, and you know what? I'm not mad about it. Maybe there's a blizzard coming and people are panicking. Look, have to go shovel snow after this, and I'm not looking forward to it. We did have snow come through yesterday. I've been letting our driveway suffer because it's just me going in and out, and I get to park in the garage right now, which has been nice. I'm going to enjoy that while I have it because I'm not going to have it too much longer. My price wise, that more of that. I do 2 more items based on what I have there. Yeah, so funny story. Right before the accident happened, our snowblower died. And we actually have the circuit board parts for replacing it downstairs. You had ordered those. So yeah, and as y'all know, although mine is mostly managed, I do have to deal with pots. So I have to be very careful when I'm shoveling snow, which was the beauty of our electric snowblower, was that I could use it and not have to worry about, you know, having a flare and all that other fun stuff. I don't want to know what happened, why this ended up like that, what their thought process was with what boxes they picked, but yeah. Come on, guys. Run, 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 run. So, yeah. It's a whole thing. Can I actually do this? This is what I'm thinking, is like that. And then this gets turned. Do this. Like that. Is that going to be too narrow? Let me see what this ends up looking like. So do that and down. Covers that. Okay. Makes me realize that this shelf is off. Ow. So yeah, it's basically what I've been trying to do when it has snowed is just make sure that like the front sidewalk and the path to our front steps and those steps and the path to our mailbox are clear. And of course right now they are not, but that is okay. I'll also like do the path from the side entrance of our house, like up our little sidewalk, because I often go that way if I'm just checking the mail. Because it's quick and easy access from within the house. Okay, so there's that. So that gives us this whole thing here to just try and figure out what I want to do. But yeah, it's a lot of trying to figure things out, trying to figure out what's going to work for us, what's not going to work for us. And yeah, Because usually all the outside stuff he would take care of. But there we go. There's that. Okay. So we got that. Oh. Got a mop, got a mop, got a mop, got a mop, got a mop. So it is what it is. We'll get it figured out somehow, and however long it takes for him to be back up in full mobility again. Hopefully at that point we can figure out what is going on with our snowblower and get that resolved. Because let me tell you, having the electric snowblower, having it... Oh, I'm never going to tire of that. I am never going to get tired of that. Oh god, that's amazing. That is amazing. How do you deal with shoplifters? Thwack him with a baseball bat. Oh, glorious. You know, can I get rid of... I'm sorry, we're gonna sell off our lasagna fridge. Oh, sorry guys, I'm trying to move stuff. Okay, there we go. Because then I can hopefully swing this. Get another one there. That was a thing of dish. You didn't tell me your fancy supermarket had a category set, right? Look, category 1, category 2. Really, I should probably just get rid of those, but you know, it's kind of fun. They're kind of fun to have. Okay. Is the way that the floor... Nope, the windows actually look fine. They look clean. Yeah. Okay. Just throw purple plastic duck. I want to whack people with the... Yeah. Yeah. Right? Oh my god. Come on. Just put the mop away. Y'all, why y'all gotta be messy? Why y'all gotta be messy? How does brown sugar get rancid? I don't understand this. Oh. Where am I? No. It's fine. Thanks, Kai. Okay. Okay, so this should allow us... Oh my gosh, come on. Yes. Let the duck story live on. You know, I almost did... Speaking of ducks, I almost did plastic ducks instead of Supermarket Sim, but I was like, you know what? I need to just let my mind wander, do random things, not know what it's doing, get distracted, apparently hit people with clubs. And yeah. But that could have been really funny. Oh, those lights are on. Okay. Oh, the duck stories. Everything, life can be solved. Uh-oh. What am I getting thrown at me? Oh, look, it's bread. You know what's gonna be fun? Is I'm gonna have to fight with my workers to make sure that they don't put stuff back on that shelf. You know what? Actually, this is what we're gonna have to do. We're gonna have to exit out of there, exit out of there, management, hiring. We're gonna have to stop them for the moment. Otherwise, they're gonna ruin my bread setup. So... yes. See, we have some typos. You joke about the it's never duck typo, and then oh, okay, they were putting out the sushi. Okay, you know what? That's fine. Let's get the bread thing sorted. Wait, what did I throw away my bread box? Wait, what did I do with it? What did I threw out the bread box, didn't I? Oh my gosh, amazing. Amazing. That was glorious. Okay, this is what we're gonna do. We're gonna grab one of our bread boxes here. And this side. This side. Okay. So I don't know what I did with the bread box that I had. I don't think I couldn't have thrown it out because I actually had bread in there. That's toilet paper. Did they take my box? They must have taken my box. They must have taken my box. That's... no! Oh no. Ira boyo. Oh god, I can't move. I'm making... This is fine. This is fine. I was trying to... Okay, you know what? You know what? Screw it. If we're gonna play that game, I'm just gonna do this. I'm helping you get the bread closer to the shelf. Okay, fine. I'm just gonna put my workers... Oh my god. I'm not... Oh god. Help. Help. You know what I need more than bread right now? I actually need milk and eggs. Would you believe I actually ran out? Oh no. You know what? I can get on board. And eggs are so expensive right now. Okay, so funny story. So Hobbit's first venture to somewhere other that wasn't like house or doctor visit or whatever. His parents don't have a Costco membership. We do. So I'm just gonna let you guys go. I'm just gonna let you go and have fun. Hi Raboyo, thank you. I see Kai sent milk, Kissy has sent milk. So we've got milk and eggs and everything. Thanks, guys. I'm gonna probably have to order more shells, and you know what? That's okay. I'm totally fine with that. So okay, so last Saturday, of course, not yesterday, the Saturday before that, so last weekend, I brought Hobbit home. Well, the Tuesday before that, his parents don't have a Costco membership. We do. Milk, eggs, and bread. You're ready for the next snowstorm, right? So they decided, you know, let's get him some exercise by taking him to Costco. Y'all, if you want to get eggs right now, and even if you're just like a 2-person household, if you have, you know, maybe another friend or family who, you know, maybe lives alone, or it's another couple or whatever, y'all buy the bulk eggs from Costco, because right now, unless you know someone who has chickens locally and you can get them from them, because, you know, and even right now with it being winter, the chickens are not going to be producing that much. But get the bulk eggs from Costco. That's going to be your most cost-effective way to do it. They didn't do it thinking, oh, well, it's his mom was of the mindset, well, it's just the two of us, blah, blah, blah. And I'm sitting there going, it's 2 dozen eggs. You keep a dozen, we'll take a dozen. We can make this work, even if it was like the 36 pack or whatever. Uh-oh. You're hanging on a chain restaurant, and the song that just came on can be summed up in three. I don't want to know. Do I want to know? I don't know. But yeah, like, oh my god, it's Rock Me Amadeus, isn't it? It's good old Falco. Yes, we love us some Falco up in here. Amadeus, 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 oh, Amadeus. I mean, meanwhile, this morning I was like, oh hey, I have going through my head this version of the fun song that can make everyone hate me in 3 lines. You're welcome. Cause you know the F song, the fun song, you know, I like to do the F is for fire that burns down the whole town. But you know, there's actually there's the original nicer side of it that SpongeBob sings, where he's like, F is for friends who do stuff together, U is for you and me. Yeah. It started out like that. So it was just like, F is for friends who do stuff together, U is for you and me, N is for never gonna give you up, never gonna let you down, never gonna run around and desert you, never gonna make you cry, never gonna say goodbye, never gonna tell a lie. Yes. Yep. I turned into a Rickroll. Hey, look, they got almost all the boxes put away. Look at that. Yep, you got Shez rolled. Oh look, another box. Oh gosh. Yep, yep, yep. Oh, I think I'm out of shelf space. I guess I could remove some labels, but then again, the fact that we actually have stuff organized is heckin' amazing. So I suppose I could just order another shelf. Oh, is that broken? Someone has two. Look. I have 3 restockers, and thankfully you can't fire my guard. Yeah, I know, rack storage is full. Give me a sec here, guys. Alright, let's do furniture. Let's get another. We'll just get one. Oh, I apparently have some other stuff that I needed to order. Okay, there we go. Alright. Hopefully we can get by with 1 rack. We'll just put it right here. That'll work. Yeah, we'll put it there. There you go, guys. All right, so there's so much bread. So much bread. Oh my god. Okay. So okay, we're gonna grab some of this. We're gonna put that there. There. And oh, hi. Up there. That way they know. Oh gosh. Okay, there we go. All right, that's where that stuff goes. Anyway. Whew. Okay. Boom. Let's see. That's right. I just realized, Riboy, have you seen what happens to that we have shoplifters and what happens to them? It's glorious. I can't remember if you were here yet for that. If not, we may have to just kind of watch and wait. In fact, let's just see if we can get in on one. Oh, you were lurking for a while, waiting for me to say bread. Got it. I should have known. But it freaking. Okay, so we get that. We need another security camera. Furniture. I suppose I could just, wait. They actually charge a shipping for that. Okay. Noted. I suppose what I could do, although that camera might actually get that area, but just in case. Gotta make sure no one's stealing the bread. There we go. Is that one? Oh, that actually doesn't quite get that whole area. So we got that. Okay. I think that'll work for the cameras. Seems like a lot. Oh! Yeah, he beat me to it. Ah, it's fine. I know, mop. Can I hire a cleaner, please? Tries to think of other way. Look. There are plenty of ways. We might actually be able to fire one of the restockers at this point. Oh, look. It's a partial bread shelf. Oh, they're just putting it wherever they want to. Okay. Let me grab some of this. Let me put some more of this out. Let's see. Are we? No, we're not quite to... We're not quite to the stranded in New York weekend. That's actually coming up this weekend. Cause yeah, guess who streams as a cat tuber and got stuck in New York City on Valentine's Day weekend because of a snowstorm. I thought Lambo was a sheep. Wait. Did Lambo get stuck in New York on Valentine's Day weekend during a snowstorm? You know, it would have been really funny if it was the same event. And we didn't know it. But it is not. I was specifying. I was talking about me. I was talking about me, Roboyo. I am that kitty who got stuck in New York City. Yeah. Sam mumbles something about Lady Voldemort, and yeah, you know, funny you mentioned that we both ended up not with either person that we were, because we were both dating very weird people at that time. It says a lot if I'm saying they're weird. Here we go. Okay, so there's that. So now... Gee, you think I'm out of something? Oh, the Flatiron Building. Yes! Wahahaha. Oh, that is still one of the funniest moments. Oh, I thought we were talking about television's Dave Coulier. Oh. Didn't it also turn out that he's kind of a crap human being? Or at least when it comes to, like, his relationships. Something like that. I don't know. If I'm wrong, I don't want to... someone tell me if I'm wrong. Because I'm just trying to, like... I don't want to falsely accuse people who shouldn't be. But, you know. That's right. That's right. That's what I thought it was. Yeah. Alanis Morissette's song, You Ought to Know. Yeah. Okay. That is what I thought. I couldn't quite remember, but yeah. Okay. So, not wrong. That is true. Except, unless, well... Patton Oswalt can. So... And so can Jim Gaffigan, actually. Yeah, it's been 10 years at this point. Or at least no, not quite 10 years. Anyway, I'm like, like, let me stop and think for a moment. Like, not quite. Not quite. Almost. So, off to lurk because, oh, you gotta work today, Roboyo? I'm sorry. Okay, enjoy your lurk. Yeah, probably won't be going too much longer, although this is just, it's kind of relaxing to do this. Oh, come on. So I want to move that there. I want to take this one and I kind of want to line it up with that. Okay, so I want to line it up with the end here. There we go, like that. And then I can take this, line it up there, because I want a little bit of space. I want the space at the wall. There we go. Okay, so that's how we line those up. Okay, and then this comes out to here. I'm figuring this out. How we get these all lined up. I'm sure there's probably something off in where I've set the shelves up as well, which is probably gonna mess things up. But you know me. I gotta get this. I gotta get this. We could do this. We could do this. Boop. Hi, Jenny. How's it going? Welcome in. Sorry, I'm like so I'm so focused on this. I'm like oh. Thank you. Yeah, it's our lovely. I think I'm trying to get this like. Yeah, it's looking better. Maybe it's getting there. It's slowly getting there. So the question is, how do we end up with rotten cat food on the floor when there's no cat food off the shelf? Explain this to me, game. All right. You guys are good? You guys are good? You know, you could have been helping him out there with the bread. I'm gonna assume we're good. Awesome. Look at that. Haha, we got it. We got the market all nice and set up. But look at him. Look at that. He's doing all the work while you guys are standing there. Jeez. Goodness. All right, so let's fix our pricing. We gotta adjust a couple things here. So let's see where it's at. Where is it at? Where is it at? Where is it at? Where is it at? That went down in price. Not too much. So not terribly so. We'll do that one down to 17. We're still gonna make a decent profit on that. Okay, so that one's good. All right, what do we... Recycled litter. Really? Dude. Yeah. Oh, I don't think I need that many. Do not need that many. No, no. Do that. Oh. Do that. Do 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 do. Do 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 do. I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know what I'm doing here. Gonna go and get some stuff added to my cart and send it in. Oh, hey. Okay. You know what? We're vibing. I just looked at it, just yelled at me like, you have ads starting in 4.5 minutes. Like, oh, we've been going longer than I thought we were. And you know what? That's fine. I'm actually cool with that because it's just kind of a vibe right now, and I am here for it. I'm just trying to get like a bunch of stuff ordered, although I know I can see I'm almost running out of funds. Okay, I'm at max. All right, get that. That. Just gotta watch here and that. 2 of those. I think that should be good. I hope. I hope. Oh, no. Peanut butter. Flour. Yeah, I think you guys have me good on eggs and milk now. Oh gosh, we are out of coffee. That is not gonna... Oh shoot. Well, okay. All right. Let's get rid of one of the coffee, I suppose. Oh, that's still too much. Okay, fine. Let's get rid of one of the flour there. Oh. Oh, now we're off to a rough start to the day. We got $15. All right. You know what? Before I hit the open sign, I'm gonna let them do their thing. Let's get a final break in, run the ads and stuff, so then that way you guys don't miss the silliness. Even though it's been pretty subdued at this point. So, all right. So with that, let's stand up, stretch, grab a snack, take a quick little break. We'll be right back. Okay, there we go. Go a little bit longer. I already have a rape target picked out, so we're just gonna, we'll get through one more day. And then I think we'll go and say hi, and they should be up and running by that point. So I'm totally not lurking in there right now as we go through the things. All right, so let's see. Let's boost these guys. Come on, run, 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 run. Yeah, so I know Kissy knows exactly who I'm talking about. And I just realized, is she floating? She looked like she was floating. Okay, why did it turn on Smart Shuffle when it shouldn't have? I don't know, but it was still on copyright-free lo-fi, so that's okay. Y'all, it's been a day. Well, if I end up finding part of my VOD muted, I know why, because I was not paying attention. I literally have like a playlist of copyright free, like DMCA compliant music. You blame Kissy? Everyone blames Kissy in here. Wait, I thought I took the tags off of, oh, I didn't take the tags off of that shelf. Oh. Do I have enough room for them all in here? I don't. Okay. It's fine. There we go. Get that. Let's remove that tag. I've got to figure out what... So this is all going to be like cleaning stuff. Which is fine. We'll get that sorted. It'll be fine. We're making a mess over here. Okay. That... Yeah, this is not the most maneuverable... I should make it where there's like gaps so you could just kind of cut between the aisles instead of having to like go up and turn around and... But you know what? I don't care. Do not care. Aha. Okay. So that's situated. Do, 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 do. Where is my egg fridge? Oh, okay, that's right. So we got our dozen. There we go. Okay, that should take care of that. You were excited to see our fridge with eggs so cheap? Yeah. Yeah. You know, I don't think I need it. I don't think I need this entirely dedicated to that stuff, to the crab sticks, but, you know, it's fine. It's fine, right? Totally fine. Come on, run, run, run. Well, that would help. It's fine. It's fine. Right? Thanks, Dag, for closing my store. It's totally fine. Everything is fine. Okay, that's all good. That's good. So you know what? We eat. Come on. Come on. Run, 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 run. Run! need a shoplifter. I want to thwack someone with a baseball bat. You look like you're on a mission. No, you're a regular shopper. Oh, of course, I need to mop the floor. Maybe. We're gonna. Darn it. Fine, I will mop the floor. I need to wash the windows too, but come on. No, we're not gonna. Fine. Imagine being disappointed that you don't have shoplifters. Like, how crazy is that? Oh my gosh. Can I have like 2 seconds without having to mop the floor? I want to try and catch a shoplifter. Oh. She's thinking about it. She's thinking about it.
Ouch! Ouch!
Oh god. Why did that make me so happy? Oh, that was glorious. That was glorious. It was like, and you knew, she's just like, she's crouching down, looking around, not even realizing I'm sneaking up on her. Oh. I suppose I should probably put that salt away. All right, we will close. Oh, darn it. Okay, do I have any pos? Yep. Put those out. Oh. Look at that. Like, I think I'm getting everything I need, and then the shelves are empty, and that's just the whole thing. So, all right. With that, we're gonna let these guys finish up. Thank you. It worries you? Getting excited over a shoplifter. I mean, come on. Can you blame me though? It is kind of fun. It is kind of fun. So, you know, I used to have a song about being a little cat with a baseball bat. And for some reason, the song isn't, I can't get the right tune in my head. There's something cathartic about justification to bonk the heck out of someone, right? Right? But on that note, thank you all for coming in. This was just, it's fun to be back. It's nice to be back. And this was just kind of silly and chill. And we get to bonk shoplifters, which is kind of fun. You know, obviously we have people coming in for chaos. We have plenty of bread, milk, and eggs. But we're gonna go say hi. We're gonna call it a day. We're gonna go say hi to another fabulous streamer. One of my EBGG teammates, he just got up and running a little bit ago. We're gonna... Oh, look. Kissy and Sab are bonking each other. I am so shocked. So we're gonna do... I think I still have the raid command set up. We're gonna go say hi to a phantom unicorn. So give it a moment to... There we go. There's our raid message. It's about the one thing I still use from Frosty Tools. I absolutely love it. Let's do a shout out for Phantom Unicorn. They are currently playing 7 Days to Die. But let's see, mail time. We found a clue at the supermarket. A Phantom Unicorn. It led us to your zombie-filled mailbox, ready to survive and thrive with new development. Oh my goodness. Oh, I am amused. I am amused for sure. So there you go. Yep, Kai has also posted the raid message in there, so grab that. Thank you everyone that has come in, subbed, resubbed, gifted bits. If you saw the little hype train going through the supermarket earlier, that was adorable. Y'all are chaos. But yeah, it's good to be back. So we'll get back into try and get back into some sense of normalcy again. Like I said, I have Lego sets I want to put together. Obviously we want to do... I know y'all have been enjoying the crowd control stuff. I am enjoying the crowd control stuff. So I do want to get Cult of the Lamb going with that. Because I know we haven't visited that in a long time, and now that I have the controller, I did test it out. It's so much easier with the controller. But yeah, so tune in next week. We'll be back. We'll do some more chaos. That's it. Kind of, I'm always like, well, maybe I should do this game. Maybe I should do this game. Maybe I should do this. Maybe I should do that. And really, it just comes down to what I feel like I can do that morning. So I knew stuff was going to be broken. So I was like, okay, well, if we manage to get into some supermarket stuff, awesome. If we don't, because we're fixing everything, that was fine too. But it actually wasn't too bad. So yeah, so with that, grab the raid message. Thank you all again. Let's go say hi to Fantacorn. We don't care if you're playing solitaire, it's more about the chill vibes. Yay! Thank you. You know, I'm so used to calling Phantom Unicorn Fantacorn that's what I almost typed. And it was like, wait, no, a Phantom Unicorn. There we go. Get your last chance to catch some Pokemon. Thank you all again. I will see you all next week. Take care, everyone. Bye. You always forget the A2. Yeah. That's a Phantom Unicorn. And there's also a sassy side. Or we just call him Fantacorn. Or, you know, what have you. Alright, let's go say hi. I'll see y'all next time. Bye, everyone.